Welcome class back to Chapter 8 Functions of your Python Crash Course textbook. This is the final video for Chapter 8 where we'll wrap up the objectives, sorting your functions and modules, importing an entire module, importing specific functions, using as to give a function or a module an alias, importing all functions in a module, and then we'll look at styling functions at the very end. So as I step through this video, I'm going to show you step by step how you're going to code your 8-16 lab. Okay, so I'm very specific as how that 8-16 lab needs to be coded. I'll show you a little shortcut and how you can comment out lines of code as well. So, storing your functions and modules. So the advantage of functions is the way they separate blocks of code from your main program. Now you've seen that in Alien Invasion, where we took all the settings, we put it in a settings file, we took ship, we put it all in a ship file, alien is all in an alien file, and so on, and then we go ahead and we import those lines of code into our alien underscore invasion file that ultimately runs our Pygame project there. So when you're creating names for your functions, make sure you create them descriptively. And then you're going to store your function in a separate file called a module. Okay, so then we import that module. An import statement tells Python to make the code in the module available in the currently running program file. Knowing how to import functions is really important, and then when we get into chapter 9 we'll see the similarity when we import classes. So we'll look at first importing an entire module. So here we're bringing import pizza. So let's go ahead and come to our pizza file so that this one makes clear sense. So here is our pizza file. Okay, when we were looking at the arbitrary number of arguments, I'm actually going to just cut these function calls out. So when you create your module file for 8-16, you're going to create it with just the function definition. There's going to be no function calls in it whatsoever. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this, and now we're going to step over to a file called Making Pizzas. And in Making Pizzas, I have some import statements, and this is exactly how 8-16 is going to look when you're completed. Okay, so if I take these three lines and I use Control and / on my keyboard, that uncomments all of them at one time. Okay, so importing an entire module, that's probably not, I don't want that uncommented. So we're going to import pizza. When we do import an entire module, we have to prefix the function call with the module name. That is just the syntax that it has to be. I'm only using just the one function call. If you want to have more than one function call, you certainly can. Okay, so in this case, we're calling make pizza, found in the pizza module file. We're sending along 16 and we're sending along pepperoni. So if we jump back over here to pizza, we're sending 16 to size and we are doing pepperoni for the toppings. Now if you wanted to put in more than one value, you certainly could do that. Okay, whatever function you come up with for your 8-16 lab, that is fine by me. Can't be pizza. Okay, so do not hand in pizza to me. Okay, so that's importing an entire module. Again, you must prefix the function name with the module name itself. Importing specific functions, we go from the syntax of import module name to from module name import the function name. Now if I have more than one function, I just separate them by commas. So in this case, we're going to comment out these two lines. Okay, and I'm going to uncomment these. So from pizza, so from my pizza file, okay, and make sure that they're named case sensitively too. Okay, so if this says an uppercase P on it, you need to have an uppercase P here. Import make pizza, and it has to match exactly what you called that function here as well. So here we don't need to prefix, so this one's just kind of nice. We're saying, hey, this is make pizza that we're bringing in, and all we need to do is go ahead and call it. Now the reason I'm commenting these out is because I don't know which one is working. So if I test this one, okay, so let me go ahead and test this one to show you that it works, making a 16-inch pizza with the following toppings. I know that that one works, but if I go ahead and do this one too, well, which one is actually working? Okay, So that's why I want you to comment them out so that when you do the next test, okay, that you know that that syntax that you're using for your import is actually working. So in this case, we'll go ahead and comment those out. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and comment this one, and we'll talk about the third way that we can go ahead and import. Using as to give a function an alias, so from pizza, import make pizza, but now we're going to call it MP. So instead of typing make underscore pizza for my function name, all I have to do is MP. Okay, and that's exactly what I have here. Okay, and I get my results. But again, if I forgot to comment out something prior to it, how do I know which one is actually working? The fourth way is to give an alias to the module. So we kind of go back to our first example where we said import pizza, but now we can give it an alias, and so instead of typing all pizza in front of there, we can just do P. Okay, it's this one right here. Okay, so import pizza as P and then prefix it with P. Okay, I get the same results. Okay, then we go to the last one, was is import all functions in a module, okay, using the asterisk. So that means if it had more than one function, we're bringing them all in. Notice that the function call is the same way that it was with our first example, or with our second example of bringing in that specific function. Okay, so we will do our code here. Okay, and we don't have to prefix right before the function call. We run it and we get the same results. Okay, so that's the 5 ways. So let's go ahead and look at the directions for 8-16. So import module. So these are the 5 ways that I just described. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you call a function. So you're going to create that module. So make sure it's not pizza. It could be one of the functions that's demonstrated in the chapter. You could create your own function. Okay, and remember, in that module, you're only going to have your function definitions. There's going to be no calls. And then within 8-16, okay, this is where you're going to have all of the comments, okay, in the 5 different ways. Okay, and you can hand it in exactly how I have it here. You could have them all commented out. That way I can uncomment them and test them as I go through your file. So when you hand in your files for chapter 8, make sure that you include your module file. Otherwise, with 8-16, I can't run the imports. Okay, so you're going to have 4 PY files to hand in for chapter 8. We're going to finish up with looking at styling of functions. So function names and your modules should be descriptive and should use lowercase letters and underscores. Again, name them like you would variables. Every function should contain a comment explaining concisely, and it should be formatted as a docstring. So make sure you continue to enter in docstrings and describe what the function does. If you specify a default value for a parameter, no spaces should be used on either side of the equal sign. So if we say middle name, no space, just middle name equal and then 2 single quotes, or age equal none, no spaces. PEP 8 limits lines of code to 79 characters. Your editors do a great job of that, and they just let everything word wrap. Okay, if a set of parameters causes a function's definition to be longer than the 79, you could go ahead and enter down and create a nice format in this way. Separate functions by 2 blank lines. That is the standard. If you want to use just 1 blank line, I'm fine with that. All import statements at the beginning of the file. So the reason that you need to have your import statements at the beginning of the file is because the code needs to be imported in order for it to be used within your file. Comments are going to become before your import statements. So that wraps up chapter 8. If you have any questions on 8-4, 8-7, 8-16, or anything else talked about in the chapter, please let me know.